This episode of the Celluloid Mirror is brought to you by Captain Scum's Edible Band-Aids. When you're ready to check out of this mortal coil and you want to do it in the most unpleasant way possible, that'll be the most traumatizing to your friends and loved ones, consider Captain Scum's Edible Band-Aids. MRSA, uh, um, uh, other kinds of staph, all manner of infections, things you thought had been frozen in the Arctic. They're back now, and they're on Captain Scum's Edible Band-Aids, and they can be in your mouth and then in your system. And then you can slowly die, as many of us want to do. When you're ready to check out in the way I just described, be sure to visit Captain Scum's Edible Band-Aids. As with all of our sponsors, Captain Scum's Edible Band-Aids can be found on Route 13 back behind the Bennigans. Just check for the manhole that's only smoking a little bit.
I mean, what do you think? You think they stand a chance? Well, you're on their side, aren't you? Who are you betting on,
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
Look at these lies.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
Even if one of them survives.
The only way to stop him is to make another movie.
Welcome to the Celluloid Mirror. I am one of your hosts, Sean Mannion.
And I am another one of your hosts. I am Nicole Solomon. And on the Celluloid Mirror, we take two films and we look at what they reflect about each other, the audience, and our culture at large.
In this episode, we're going to be discussing Gregg Araki's Nowhere and Jon Watts' Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, is that the name of the director? We'll start by giving a brief synopsis of each film, and then we're going to discuss our responses to the films, what the films say about each other, and we will wrap up with a bit about the critical responses to all of these films. Fair warning, if you have not seen Spider-Man Homecoming or Gregg Araki's Nowhere, films that are at almost 10 years old at the youngest, we will be spoiling them, so maybe listen to this episode later if you don't want spoilers for these movies.
Who hasn't seen Nowhere, really, when you think about it? Like, it's such a major cultural touchstone. Certainly, this isn't the first time that I personally put it on for myself, even though I'd watched pieces of it before. Certainly not the case. But what's perhaps more important than that in this moment is, how are you doing, Nicole?
I'm tired, Sean.
You're tired?
I'm tired, but I'm in beautiful upstate New York. See, I can't. I wanted to do a joke.
Like, we can see the hilly vistas beyond you. The hilly
vistas of the photos that my grandparents.
Flowers.
Yeah. I'm actually in one of the few rooms that does not have a nice view. It's a bedroom, so that's okay.
Well,
but
then you would be backlit, and that's something that we don't recommend when, on the rare occasions when people ask us advice for how to shoot things.
Well, I do say it depends if you're trying to have somebody be anonymous.
That's true.
And you want to do it in camera.
That is a way that you would do it.
I often wish I was anonymous when we do our stuff, but
But no.
We press on. How are you, Sean?
I'm fine.
You're in Brooklyn, unlike me.
I'm in Brooklyn. It's very humid.
Yeah, it's humid here too, actually. It's not hot, but it's humid. It was like 70 degrees, but wet. It was gross.
Yeah, it's kind of sticky,
Yeah, it's sticky.
kind of like Spider-Man.
Do you have deer? Have you been seeing deer?
I mean, no, because I'm in Brooklyn.
I know, but I don't know. You're near the park. You might see a deer. It could happen.
Do we have deer in the park? I know we have
Probably.
possums
You have raccoons,
and
bunnies.
we have some raccoons and what else do we have in the park? I've learned about this because I volunteer at
Exotic
the
birds.
zoo. No, though I think the exotic birds are just
Those are in the gardens.
yeah, in the
Yeah.
graveyard. Hold on just a moment. And so what I was saying was no. We so just a couple of technical things. Um, Somebody coming home, so I needed to pause the show. So we're live again, Nicole. So
I know.
do you know?
What were we talking about? We were talking
We were talking
about.
about just how we were doing. We hadn't gotten into the films yet. So
I was gonna say.
um
Oh, I remember. I was gonna say who hasn't seen Nowhere
oh, who hasn't
because
seen
you were
Nowhere?
making a joke, and
I was
I
making a
now
joke.
am going back to this joke from 10 minutes ago to make a really great piggyback on it. Make a
It's an
piggyback on it.
amazing piggyback, perhaps the best
This
piggyback of all piggybacks.
sounds terrible. I really thought I had watched this movie
Oh,
with
really?
the other Sean. And like, in fact, and so like last weekend, he went to this screening of Eraserhead that I didn't go to because I was tired. And I was like, oh, well, I got to rewatch Nowhere. So I'll watch that because we watched it together pretty recently. And I was like, oh, you know what I rewatched tonight? I rewatched Nowhere by Gregg Araki. And he's like, oh, what's that one? And I'm like, oh, it's the one, with the aliens. And like Shannon Doherty's in it, and Kathleen Robertson plays somebody named Lucifer, and all these people are in it, like Beverly D'Angelo. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, and then at the end, and he turns into it, and he's like, I haven't. And I was like, oh, I guess I watched this alone, huh? I guess I found this before like the Criterion reissues of the Teen Apocalypse trilogy. I through means located this film and watched it some night I was home alone. And now I'm just gonna have to watch Nowhere again because like I gotta say, it was better the second time. And I think it's
I
gonna be
feel
even better
like
the third time.
I feel like it will just keep getting better in that sense.
Fine
Um,
wine. Fine wine.
Speaking of, we should probably, like, as we've started talking about the films, we should probably tell people what the films are about
I guess. Do you
via
wanna
the synopsis.
do you wanna synopsisize Spider-Man
Yes,
Homecoming?
I do. I will.
Oh,
I
awesome. Good.
can.
I was hoping.
And then you can do Nowhere, which you've hinted at
I've
already,
hinted.
like what's going on in Nowhere. So for the IMDb synopsis, for Spider-Man Homecoming is Peter Parker tries to stop Adrian the Vulture Toombs from selling weapons made with advanced Chitauri technology while trying to balance his life as an ordinary high school student.
So true. Meanwhile, the synopsis for Nowhere is sorry, the synopsis for Nowhere is follows a day in the lives of a group of Los Angeles high school students and the strange lives they lead.
I don't know what's so strange about their lives. Like that seemed exactly like I was a teen and just barely a teen in 1997. That's exactly what being a teen in 1997 was exactly like every single day. Every
It's
single
so
day.
true. I'm older than you, so in 1997 I was in college, but I
Exactly.
was
You
a
were about
freshman in
4 young in
college.
1997. So
I was being a teenager in New York City, and it was a lot like that. Even
I
though
mean,
this
I'm
is
sure
such a
it was
like
even more like
California
that.
movie, although it's very West Coast, very West Coast.
It is a very West Coast with the cars and the West Coast. Um, so Nicole,
Mhm.
now that we have told the people what these movies are about, which they probably already know because who hasn't seen them, except for other Sean. What did we think of these films, Nicole?
I enjoy Spider-Man Homecoming. I will say I rewatched it for the pod. I did not enjoy it as much rewatching it for the pod as I did when I saw it in the theater.
Hmm.
When this film came out, it was during the moment where I was like pretty into MCU for the like run of like Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man Homecoming, Black Panther. I don't remember what
Hmm.
order they came out in, but those three were in a row. And I was like, these are great.
Hmm.
What a good time. And I do think they suffer a bit when you don't see them in a theater with a big screen and a big sound system. Cause I remember it's Spider-Man Homecoming being just super fucking fun in the theaters. Like
Hmm.
funnier than most of them, exciting, a little long like they all are, but not too bad. And it suffered a bit at home. I still liked all the stuff that I liked in the theater. It just like the cons of like it being kind of long and kind of being like, okay, this is not a 2.5 hour long movie. This is a 90-minute long movie. Like
Hmm.
if they had tightened that shit up, I would be like, it's great.
Hmm.
As it is, I like it. I think so far as Marvel movies go, it's one of the ones I would rather watch. I like Tom Holland. I like Zendaya a lot. This is the one has like Hannibal Buress as the gym teacher who's really funny. There's like all these things like that. I like Peter Parker's friend group. Like the other teens are good. I think Michael Keaton's really good as the fairly relatable big bad. And I think it's good. And I think Nowhere is fucking great. The first time I saw it, Nowhere is such a chaotic movie. I maybe Sean disagrees. I think chaotic is a very apt
Yeah.
adjective for the. I think the first time I was just like, wow, the fuck is happening? The fuck is happening? There are so many characters. They are so hard for me to keep straight. And the first time I was like, yeah, that was good. It was a Gregg Araki movie. It was really wacky, more sci-fi elements that some of them have.
Hmm.
But it came together for me more this time because it's like it's not, it's a vibes movie. It's not about the plot. And it's not even really about the individual characters. Like the
No.
characters are such types, they're not, but it's great. It's a great, if you like this kind of movie, you probably know who you are. And I like this kind of movie. What did you think, Sean?
I liked both of the movies, starting with Nowhere just because that's just to follow on what you were saying. It is a pretty chaotic movie. I think it's the joke I'm probably just going to keep making is it's such about being a teenager in the night. Like it's exactly what it was like. I mean, it's exaggerated. It's like very over the top in so many ways. But it is also very much like in its exaggeration, it's also very much like 90s teens, whether how they were actually behaving, which true in some cases, or just how they thought they should behave or wanted to behave or how they sort of imagined behaving, as well as like their concerns and the silly ways of talking, which was again exaggerated, but also like people would say like, or there would be like weird slang and things like that. Just like with kids in any group. I think in its exaggeration, it does capture really well like the vibes of teenagehood in that late 90s period, which, I think I can't remember how much we talked about it. We probably did a bit when we talked about Josie and the Pussycats. Oh, and you have your t-shirt from the movie as well.
I
And
can't, I wasn't putting this on. There's not
that's
enough
fair.
give in this Free People
Uh,
shirt featured in Gregg Araki's Nowhere. That's why I have it, especially for the listening audience at home who
yeah,
can't see it. It's a very famous, very 90s, it's a very
yeah.
famous, it is a t-shirt from the 90s. It's not really
Right.
a t-shirt. It's like nylon and
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. These guys, these
It's a shirt.
cats.
It's a shirt with
It's
kittens on it.
a shirt with kittens on it.
Yeah.
And it's in Gregg Araki's Nowhere. And there was a Rock for Choice benefit that I think it was the Rock for Choice benefit. I don't know. There was some Bikini Kill show in the 90s that there were
Yeah.
photos from that you'll see where Kathleen Hanna is wearing this shirt. So those are the three people who had this shirt. The character in Nowhere, whose name I don't remember, Kathleen Hanna, and me.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's I think it captures that well. I think I enjoyed that part of it. I initially watched the beginning of it in a class I was taking last semester during the spring, and meant to finish it, but I was having a hard time finding it, so I think I watched Totally Fucked Up instead. And it's definitely one that I need to watch again to get my head wrapped around it some more. Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm a big fan of. I've watched it several times at home since seeing it in the theater. And I think I probably saw it more than one time in the theater because 2017 was when I would actually go and see things in the theater multiple times. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I've been a reader of Spider-Man books when I was a kid. For me, for it being a Spider-Man movie, in a lot of ways, it does the best job of. And I recently rewatched like all the Tobey Maguire movies. I haven't really rewatched the Andrew Garfield movies very much, but to me, it's one of the ones that best captures like the spirit of the character and a lot of his like supporting cast of characters, even though it changes a lot of stuff, and even some of the characters who are around him. I think it really captures that sort of sense of youth and guilt and sort of sense of responsibility that the character carries. I think it does a really good job of one, you get Michael Keaton, who's delightful, and he's delightful when he's scary. I think they did a really good job of him as like the Spider-Man villain in it, because basically the way he starts off is the way, in a lot of ways, most Spider-Man villains, when they were originally introduced, start off. Is a lot of them, including the Vulture character in the books, like they're slighted by people in like just they're kind of normal people who get pushed a little far, and then for whatever reason that makes them like make suits that allow them to fly, and they start stealing stuff like you do.
I would.
So most of them aren't like crazy like Batman villains or something like that. A lot of them are just people who were pushed too far and maybe were scientists, a little bit mad scientisty, or something happened to them. And I think it captures that really well. I think the way it brings in him having a friend group, because that's not really a thing in the Tobey Maguire movies. Like he has like no friends in the Tobey Maguire movies, which is just it just doesn't really click. Like like even Mary Jane, his love interest in those, he doesn't have. And in this, he's interested in the one girl, Liz, and that's nicely tied into the plot. But he's got Ned. He's a kid he's got friends. One of the things I particularly like about it is the Flash character, Flash Thompson, his buddy who's always picking on him. Like it's a very, very good version of a bully who's not like a cartoon of a bully, but just kind of like a dick who's also kind of your friend. And in a lot of ways, that is what that character is kind of in the books. And he's been around since the very beginning. And he's been in the other versions of the movies, but he's not a character in those. He's a caricature of a bully in those. So I really like a lot of that. So me as somebody who comes to it from like a lot of the source material, really loves that. I think it's really fun. I think one of the things that interested me a little bit about pairing these movies. They're both teen movies. They're both about teens. They're also almost released almost exactly 20 years apart, like 1997 and 2017. So as much as like Nowhere is about teens of the 90s, there's a lot of ways in this that Homecoming is a lot about like teens of today And I mean, they're both adults making movies about teens. So that, I guess, transitions us a little bit into what do these movies have to say about each other and what's their connection. So, do you want to talk a little bit about what we said their connection was?
Well, they're both about teenagers in high school dealing with sci-fi stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this weekend, I Want Your Sex, the new film by Gregg Araki, is coming out, as is Spider-Man, Brand New Day.
So we were strategic this week about like, hey, this is convenient, but also I think these do work well paired together, because of that like teenness of them and their generational divide. Because I think that there is some the very different kind of environment the of being a teen in the 90s versus being a teen today.
Also,
Like
being a teen in a Gregg Araki movie versus an MCU movie.
totally different things, right? Obviously. But even so, like not necessarily even factoring that in, like there is just like the generational differences of like uh some of it being like visibility, like more public visibility, and there's sort of a difference in behavior in like these kids are largely in Gregg Araki's Nowhere, largely unsupervised, and in that very sort of Gen X, our parents let us drink from the hose and locked us out of the house until midnight and whatever else it was. The Cyndi Lauper asking, "Do you know where your kid?" It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are? Sort of way. Um,
Cyndi Lauper asked that? When did Cyndi
sure.
Lauper do that?
Well, they had a bunch of celebrities do that. Like it was an ad in the
I
80s.
remember the ads. I don't remember celebrities doing it. That's this.
There was
Okay.
definitely like one with like, and I only know this because I saw it. I saw somebody like I saw it like on YouTube or something like that. Somebody had found it and put it up on YouTube or something. So maybe it wasn't Cyndi Lauper, but there was somebody, maybe Blondie. I don't know. There was somebody. It was like the mid to late 80s. Do you know where your kids are? Maybe it was TV stars. I can't remember.
Anyway, unsupervised in the
Unsupervised
90s.
in the 90s, and they're very supervised, relatively speaking, in Spider-Man. I mean, they're even when they throw that party, like there's still sort of a vibe of like, it's not like a crazy 80s teen party where it's all like keggers and or kegs and whatever else is going on in 80s teen party.
Marijuana
Whatever was going
cigarettes.
on in that party uh, in Nowhere, because there is a party around the
There sure
climax of
is.
each film, or not the climax of each
There's
film. No, there is around the because
Yeah,
it's
there's because it's
it's
the
the homecoming
dance.
dance.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's Liz's party earlier in the film.
yeah.
Um, so they have structural similarities as well.
A
They're
lot more drugs in Nowhere.
a lot more technically.
A lot more
Uh,
sex.
yes, just I mean
They
a
don't.
little bit. I'm just kidding.
There's no sex in Spider-Man
No sex
Homecoming.
in any Marvel things. Um,
Deadpool,
Yes, in the first Deadpool.
and
In the
that's
second
it.
Deadpool, and that's basically it.
That's basically it.
Um, but
There's sex
otherwise,
in, I think, all Gregg Araki movies,
and as there should be, as there should
as
be
there
in
should be.
all movies.
It's true. We need to
Um,
really like make up for the years of the Hays Code, and I think you should not be able to release a film that doesn't have sex in it.
I somewhat agree.
I'm in favor of me being the one who gets to control what's allowed in media, what has to be in
I
media. I mean,
agree.
look what like. The whole fucking country's eating tainted lettuce because of like, I don't know what my point. Wow. Wow. I had it. I had some. I'm not saying it made sense. I'm not saying it was correct, but I was going to go for it with conviction. and I lost it. I lost it just like a raccoon washing their cotton candy in a river.
That's a good image. Raccoon washing cotton candy in the river.
I feel that way a
Uh,
lot. There's that famous video of a raccoon doing that.
yeah, I feel like I can remember that. But I mean, I do think that it's also like there's the thing about the teens, but it is also a big difference in like the kinds of movies that get made and released with any kind of not with any kind of like visibility. Like I'm not saying that Nowhere like went to like lots of screens and everybody saw it because I really don't think that happened. I mean, I know it went out and it had a release, but like there really isn't that kind of thing. Like even the sort of like equivalent movies that there are now, like or close to. I mean, there's the super indie, but if it's like a teen comedy that might be a little bit risque or something like that, it's something like the closest you get is something like Pizza Movie, that one with or whatever it was called, the one that just came out with the kid from Stranger Things a couple months back,
Did not
and
see it.
basically it's just that they smoke a lot of. It's funny. They do some drugs and it's a little weird, but there's no sex in that either. Like, and there kind of should be.
I mean, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent because we really definitely could, but it's like the corporate overcorrection is a recurring theme of like, you know what? It was really creepy that we had all these 50-year-old men leering at like teenage girls and making
Yes.
weird teen sex comedies about like basically sexual assault and things like that. And it
Yeah.
was all normal and fine and great. And at a certain point, a lot of us were like, hey, actually, that's totally fucked. And
It's not that we shouldn't make.
sensibilities
Yeah.
sensibilities changed. And what happens when sensibilities change? Corp corporate suits, they don't care about why. They just care
No.
about not getting in trouble. So things happen. Like, I think it's like, well, we can't have sex in a movie about teenagers because that's a pedo thing to do. And it's like, well, no, it's not if you don't do it in a pedo way.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and
but
it doesn't help that the
unfortunately,
audience often responds that way too.
oh, for sure.
Um,
But like, it's like, I'm sure I've told you this. This is my thing of like, I think about phrases like cancel culture and how it means a completely different thing for people like you and me on Twitter, if we were on Twitter, which thank God we're
nope.
not. And somebody who actually like has a career going into an office trying to like make a movie, and you're John Waters trying to make Liar Mouth, and the suits are like, well, we're uncomfortable because we don't
Yeah.
actually understand like what was wrong in Me Too and what was that was about, and there's sex in this, and not everyone's nice, and it doesn't seem to have like a clear moral, and so we're staying away from it, just like risk aversion, and just that's it. And
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with being woke. That has nothing to do with like having politics. The only politics they have is their own enrichment. That's it. And like,
It's less about what the topic is, and it's less about like the content than who is making it and why. Right? Like it's the problem is like this person is making it to be a creep and see naked teens, um, versus somebody is making it to sort of express something about that and see naked teen.
I need to not hear the words naked teens again. I just, my
I
stomach is a little queasy.
sure. I'm just or
You don't need to
honestly like
apologize.
it's also just like fully grown adults, because also like a lot of movies for adults aren't even really for adults
We were just
as
talking
much
about
anymore.
this. I think
Yeah.
a lot of movies for adults are for children, and it drives me nuts because if I'm gonna watch a dumbass movie for adults, I want to watch a dumbass movie for adults. I don't want to watch a dumbass movie that is really for people to show in a middle school like class.
Yeah.
Like great. There is a very wide lane for classes to bring, for movies to bring in school to show to like 13, 14-year-olds and be like, see, get it? It's just like Bob Dylan was the first rapper. I don't.
Oh,
I'm
right,
joking.
right.
Now I'm thinking of some. Oh my God!
You're thinking of Michelle Pfeiffer, as we all should.
What?
You're thinking of Michelle Pfeiffer, as we all should. That's the only thing I remember from that movie, other than just Michelle Pfeiffer. Or actually, the song is from that is used in that movie too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. We both know the song.
Through the valley
Coolio.
of the shadow of death.
Yeah.
Took a look at your life and realized. Now Gangster's Paradise. I was like
it.
Amish Paradise. Not
because
Amish.
You got stuck in
Amish.
Al Yankovic.
I so often do.
But it is a thing of like, well, you mentioned like we were saying, oh, there's no sex in these movies, and you said, well, except for Deadpool. But even Deadpool, it's like it's like it's not even really it's dry humping.
There's sex jokes.
It's clothed dry humping and sex jokes.
Well, there's like the sex montage.
Yeah, but it's still kind of like
you're not watching them have sex though.
Exactly, which is what I'm looking for.
I mean, honestly,
but
I
only
don't
after he's had his accident.
I feel like this is boring before.
Exactly.
Why would anyone be? That'd be weird.
He's so like
weird.
Smooth and handsome. No, I want that like weird avocado look, the Freddy Krueger look. But no, they're just like it's like and I think people have gotten too fixated on how exploitative it was and like basically like what the results had been is not to make it less exploitative necessarily, but just to make it non-existent, which in some ways doesn't make it less exploitative because it just shoves whoever's making this something that might have that kind of content into lower budget spaces, into less monitored spaces, less protected spaces for actors where they do get exploited. There's an example of this actually that occurs to me with some stuff that I've seen coming out about the movie's Terrifier and the very first one. And which I hated genuinely, partly for the scene in which she is suing them for. I think it's Catherine Corcoran, I think is the name of the actress. I saw about this where she's hung upside down, and not because she's hung upside down and all of that, but and how she's displayed necessarily, but because there wasn't safety observed on the set for that because it was super low budget, and a lot of times, like genuinely, people in these low budget spaces, not being malicious necessarily, but being neglectful. And sometimes, and I wasn't there and I don't know exactly what happened in this, but from what I read, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like it's not really the best way to, people should not be hung upside down for long periods of time. It sounds like it was also very cold. And there's not as much protection there for people, and there's that's where we end up when we just kind of say like, oh, we don't want this in the mainstream or anywhere near mainstream. Not that that then it's just out on the fringes, or not even the fringes, but just out on the edges, and people who are comfortable with it are getting those jobs, and there's not an enforced practice in learning how to make films like this with this kind of content. There's not an enforced practice of, hey, like we need to be more careful about how people are treated and about people's comfort, both psychologically and physically.
And I think the Terrifier thing, also, my understanding is the other thing she's suing about is that they used they took behind the scenes photos of her when she was nude that they used in promotional materials, which was not in her contract.
That's not
like she agreed to do the scene in the film.
Mm-hmm.
She did not agree to have behind the scenes shots you distributed.
Yeah.
Which they did. And that is to me like a perfect example of how exploitation happens in the industry in a way that the risk aversion has nothing to do with, because it's like
Yeah.
the industry's take is kind of like, well, you're making terrifying. I think to your point is, you're making this grimy, nasty movie you probably shouldn't really be making anyway, and you shouldn't really be watching anyway. But this is the space for like the dirty, nasty stuff like that. The people who are rejecting John Waters movies don't really care about like this. These people, again, I'm making up more guys to get mad at, but I'm imagining the risk adverse people who don't want to make movies with teenage characters and sex also don't really give a shit about an up and coming actor in a super low budget movie having
No.
topless photos circulated. Whereas it's like, well, that's the actual exploitation, not a 30-year-old playing an 18-year-old having a sex scene. I
Yeah.
mean, it could be, but like
It, and there's also a fair, I mean, not exactly, but like a discussion that could be had about like um exploitation in film and how much of what we do in film is exploitative. It's like on some level, on like lightly exploitative versus, and labor in general being exploitative, like making films is labor. And if you're a filmmaker, in some ways, like if you can't pay everybody exactly what the living wage is that they should be paid, there's an exploitation of labor there. There's like there's
even
levels
if
of
you
that.
can,
Yes.
even if you do pay somebody a living wage, you are still exploiting their labor. It's
Yeah.
inherent in the model.
And
Like,
it's
you don't
yeah,
escape
and
exploitation within a capitalist
yeah.
model, no matter how nicely you pay people.
Yeah, and I think a lot kind of comes down to what is it? Consent and like being very upfront about things. And I'll say like I mean, and you worked on the film, you worked on my film Meme, and my film Meme has sex scenes in it. It has nudity in it. And I don't think you were on set the day we did it.
I think I was, but I wasn't in the room. I wasn't
No,
on
nobody was in
set.
the room, but like me and
We were
my
in that
AD slash
apartment. Wasn't it with the
producer.
basketball? The kids with the
Yes, it was
basketball?
that day. You were there for
Yeah, I
that
was.
day.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
there, but I
so
was mostly
it
in the
was the
kitchen.
two actors. It was me. It was our director of photography, Peter. It was my producer slash assistant director, Carolyn, who was also running sound for us for that time. Those are the only people in the room. Curtains were closed, and also I've done nudity in multiple films, or directed nudity in multiple films.
Yeah, I
I
was about to say
haven't
you
been nude in
have.
any films yet.
I was like,
Only
Sean.
off camera, only off camera. But I've had them, and I'm always almost annoyingly like, this is what we're doing next, and are we still okay with this? When I speak to the actors about it, and you're comfortable, this is how much, like, you can always say, like, I always give even up to the moment of like, would you like to is there would you like to do it a different way or something like that? And there's stuff with both the actors in the scenes in Meme where they both were like, oh well, I'd like to cover this and I'd like to cover this way, and I was like, great, we'll do that. And if they wanted to change how we were doing it in general because they're like, I'm not comfortable with this anymore, that's what we would have done, because I don't have to live with stuff. And it's not my body. It's if it was that important for it to be, a very specific way, then I would have approached it differently. But I always approach things in a flexible way because I'm a no-budget filmmaker, and you have to adapt and you have to change things. But I do think that that's a important way to approach it depending upon where you're at.
This
Like,
is so true. I really wish you had watched The Idol, because the opening scene of that fucking show, terrible show, terrible show.
mhm.
The opening scene is literally like an intimacy coordinator wrecking this video shoot because like the idol, what's her name, Lily Rose Depp, wants to like be topless, and they're like, no, your contract says that you're not topless, and she's like, but I want to be topless. I'm empowered, my body, my choice. And you're telling me I can't choose? Because
Oh
it is the
God.
most, honestly, I would watch that show again. I'm sorry. I know that's a terrible thing to say because it's a terrible show, but it's so terrible. Like I'm still thinking about the ways in which it was terrible. And that's my toxic trait is I really enjoy some terrible things that I'm making fun of because I think it's
I
bad.
enjoy
Eli
lots of
Roth is
terrible
in it,
things. I'm not gonna watch that.
but like
No, Eli Roth's in it. I'm not gonna watch that.
I know, and I shouldn't either. But I need nobody
He's
will. Nobody but me was stupid enough to watch this fucking show. And now I'm like, have you seen The Idol? Have you seen The Idol? Will anyone talk to me about how batshit this show was that I'm watching like 3 years too late? Like everyone else is over it. Like everybody watched it
yeah,
at the
no,
time. I
dude.
wasn't watching it at the time because I was like, that looks bad. And then someday I don't know why, I just wanted to watch some offensive trash and it was offensive trash. I want to watch the part of this show doc though also where it talks about critical and popular responses. I thought we could talk about that. But
You
I
want to talk
also
about critical and popular responses? We
yeah,
should
but
we
first
should transition over to that. But
we
what are
should
you gonna say
transition.
before that?
I want to transition. I want to make one point about
Uh-huh.
I want to ask you a question. What do you think about how the science fiction elements in both films are used to help tell stories of teenage isolation and alienation?
Well, I mean, I think that the nowhere is more subtle about its sci-fi or more limited in its sci-fi stuff. Not more
Yeah, I was going
subtle.
to
It's
say
very over the
subtle's
top.
a
Subtle's not
choice.
it. The subtle's not a word for that movie. But I think that like in that one, I was kind of feeling like so. Hopefully people are watching the movies before they listen. But like, if not, there's an alien dude who's going around, or chick,
There's an alien
or non-binary dude, chick, however they want to
or a
identify
gender. We
alien.
don't have any fucking
We don't
idea.
know.
We don't
Like,
know.
I don't know.
Kind of Godzilla
Anyway,
looking.
there's an
And
alien.
Godzilla is Godzilla's gender as a whole.
Exactly.
Interesting
So,
spectrum.
so there's an alien going around zapping some of the teens away, and they disappear. And while our sort of main James Duval character, who is here, in his towel,
Having a hard time in more ways than one. Sorry. Keep
well,
talking.
that's why he's so low on the behind the poster there.
That was thoughtful of you.
So yeah. So he's, he obviously has a lot of, he's not, if there is a main character of the film, it's definitely him because it's an ensemble piece, but he is somebody who we follow from the beginning, a big part of it. I think it is very much like following him. He's a focal point.
Yeah, we
he
start and end
obviously
with him.
has, what?
We
Yeah,
start and
with him.
end with him. It's the story of him and his like romantic
Yeah.
problems.
And he obviously has a lot of like very varying impulses, sexual impulses and romantic impulses. And I think that there's some sense in my head that like the alien, which I'm going to say is literally there in the movie because it's weird enough where the figurative is the literal and that sort of thing, which is, is some version of like him processing that and processing like these feelings of not strictly being just into his girlfriend, but also into like this young guy, and also into there's the Valley Girls who get zapped. I think they're the first ones to get zapped.
I think
But I
so.
think like and it's while he's watching, like he's there,
Yeah.
he's watching them, and I think it is almost some sort of external like this isn't what you're supposed to want, and zapping it away. That's my sort of, if I dove into the film probably deeper, I'd probably come up with a better theory about it. But I think it's using the sci-fi to really be about that kind of like alienating internal feeling of that swirl of um, hormones of like, what is it that I want? Like, who am I in this sort of as a sexual being
And
for his Dark is his name, right?
it's such a funny name. The names in this one are so funny to me.
I mean,
Like
it also feels 90s, honestly. I had friends who had I mean, I think that's just his name in the movie, but also
yeah,
like his given name. But I had friends who went by other names when in as a teen in the 90s, and wouldn't respond to anything else. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think Gregg Araki does a really good job of capturing that kind of adolescent hormonal chaos, right?
hmm
And it's not like this is a very kind of pansexual movie. A lot of the characters are, fairly sexually fluid. James Duval, certainly, he's dating Rachel True. He's like in love with her. She's also seeing Kathleen Robinson playing the delightfully named Lucifer. And so James Duval playing Dark hates Lucifer. And he's like, she's so awful. And it's like, well, she's kind of the same as everybody, but she's your competition. So she's awful
yeah,
to you. And meanwhile, he's also got the hots for, I forget the other dude's name, the one who at the end,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. I can't remember
So
his name.
yeah, so he's basically James Duval is like, it's not a thing of like he's struggling with his sexuality. It's not like, am I gay or am I straight? Or maybe there's a third way, or I don't want to be gay. It's not that. It's like this big ball of confusion, to quote the song, that's like as much about his discomfort with polyamory as
hmm
it is about anything else.
Yeah,
It's like he is jealous of Rachel True dating Lucifer. It makes him super uncomfortable. He doesn't like it, but he also doesn't want to be the guy who can't handle it and wants a traditional relationship and insists on that,
yeah.
So he's just like stuck. And then, like, tied in with that is like he has feelings for this guy who he has no idea if he has feelings for him. And it's just like, gets extremely convoluted and complicated in the way that adolescent interpersonal relationships do, because everyone's feeling
hmm
a lot of feelings and you're not even aware of all your feelings, but they certainly are driving you to,
But they're definitely feelings.
they're definitely feelings and they're probably pretty big.
Yeah.
And I think nowhere really captures that. And I haven't like gone very far into like even thinking about the symbolism so much as just like that is what it felt like.
Yeah.
This is true, the vibes element. Although I'm sure there's plenty there if you want to.
Oh, I'm sure we could probably do a lot more on it. For Spider-Man, just to address that in the sci-fi. I mean, I think it's one of the reasons I think that this is so good as an adaptation of the character is I think it really does a good job of addressing that the core of the character's conflict. There's always like, oh, there's a villain, he's gonna steal stuff and all that. But the core of the character's conflict as a character is his competing responsibilities. And I think this does a good job of it. He's got school. He's not doing as good a job at school because he's trying to be responsible as Spider-Man, and he's trying to do this thing where he thinks like, there's a relationship with Tony Stark, and there's stuff at home with his aunt, and he's got these competing responsibilities, which sometimes, and so this is me going a little nerdy about Spider-Man and the stories in general. Some writers and editors have said that his stories are about youth, and I don't think that's accurate. And I think that's actually a thing that has hindered the characters' stories in the source material for about 20 odd years. It's much more about responsibility. It's much more about like when the character's stories and like and sort of the broad strokes of like what is the conflict in his life, it is his competing responsibilities. And I think that this captures it really well. It captures the way that taking responsibility in one part of your life um, means that you are sometimes being irresponsible in another part of it. Like you can't do all of everything perfectly. You can't be completely responsible at school as also at when you're trying to hold down a job at the same time, when you're trying to do stuff at home. Like something always suffers isn't maybe the right word, but something always falls to the wayside, and that happens in this. Like he's not doing well at school because he's doing the Spider-Man stuff. He's not really like he's interested in the romantic relationship with the girl Liz Allen, and in this, but he drops the ball on it because again he takes that like he goes to the Spider-Man responsibilities. He drops the ball. He stops doing Spider-Man. He stops taking that responsibility, and then he starts doing well in school and he takes his school responsibilities. And I think it shows that there is a balance and there's a juggle, and that is, I think, a lot of what when the character's handled well, um, he's telling that story, and I think it's a very like important story about being a teen. And I think like because that's when you're learning about that, is you might be having your first job and trying to go to school, or you're just trying to figure out how do I balance having a social life and going to school. Other people other than me, I didn't have a social life, but like, and I think that's what it does well in the sci-fi. Angle of like being Spider-Man and having like all this big stuff happening. It's just a big version of this. It's a
It's
fantastic version of the same thing.
it's like the Buffy model, either the movie or the show. It's
Yeah,
like he's Spider-Man instead of the Slayer, but it's a similar thing of like having the secret superhero identity that becomes a metaphor for like when you're a teenager and you feel like school doesn't understand that maybe going to class isn't the number one most important thing in my life. And my parents don't understand that maybe getting good grades isn't actually the number one pressure that I'm concerned about. And, it's,
yeah.
yeah, that's
I
how I
think
see
I
it.
think it's a lot of that. But with that, like you were saying, we should segue into the critical response. Since we're just
Yeah, how
talking
do the
about
critics
Spider-Man,
see
do we
it?
want to talk about what critics said about Spider-Man?
Yeah, what did critics say about Spider-Man?
Do you want me to read the
Tell
critics?
us, tell us.
All right. So, Spider-Man Homecoming got a 73 on the Metacritic Metascore, which is generally favorable. We pulled some quotes from some critics. Alan Scherstuhl from The Village Voice said, Spider-Man Homecoming is comics unapologetically as close as a blockbuster filmmaking gets to cartooning. I think that's pretty accurate. It is very much like, I think that was one of the compliments I gave to this and actually Thor Ragnarok, is both of them
Yeah.
felt very much like they were pulled from the comics. Like Thor Ragnarok feels like you're watching how they would have plotted out several issues, and I could like tell you like this is where an issue ends in a cliffhanger and that. And Spider-Man Homecoming has a similar vibe of yeah, it's a little episodic and it's got that and it's fun and it's big and like I keep saying, like I think it really does a great job of bringing that in of adapting the character well. And then Chris Michelle of Cineview said, the funniest Spider-Man film yet. Homecoming is a true teen flick. Its visuals full of color and exuberant movement. And again, I also very much agree. I think one of the things that I should probably look up their names while we're talking about it. But about the point about the teen flick, I mean, the film very consciously has its teen film, or very on the surface has its teen film influences. There's the whole like, and they're even showing the scene while they're reenacting the scene from Ferris Bueller when he's running through the backyards, and like it has that awareness. But it's also the co-writers, one of the co-writers of it. It was co-written by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley, who are screenwriters in Hollywood, and they're like a team, screenwriting team, rather than just being like a list. There's actually a lot of people on the list for this. But those two, John Francis Daley was in a teen show. He was the lead in Freaks and Geeks. He was the main kid in Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, okay.
The young guy who was Linda Cardellini's little brother in it. So I think there's some awareness of like teen, like it is a superhero movie, but it is also very much a teen movie, with the homecoming dance being like the big thing that's happening at the end of it. I think that really does. I think that is astute. I think it complements the movie well, and I think it's one of the things that helps differentiate it from some of the other Marvel stuff, which often gets fairly, I think, criticized for, oh, they're making the same movie over again. And
I think,
yeah.
sorry, not to cut you
No, go
off.
ahead.
I think this one of the things I really noted this time was one of the things I always like about Spider-Man, but stood out more. Spider-Man's from Queens.
Yes. You can even
He's
find
not
his house on Google Maps.
like just Queens, not any of these like kind of made up New York
Mm-hmm.
City-esque, like whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know, but like
What, Gotham City or something like that?
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not Gotham City because it's Marvel and that's DC.
Well, Marvel is mostly real world places, except for like Wakanda.
Okay,
But
so it's New York City. Like I just don't
most
remember.
most of Marvel, the big Marvel characters, are New York City based.
Okay,
Captain America is from Brooklyn, which is in the movies, but has been in the books for a long time. But because until actually right now they're moving, which sucks, but Marvel Comics has been headquartered in New York City since before it was Marvel Comics. And a lot of the big creators, Stanley, Jack Kirby, are born and raised New Yorkers. So
yeah, it comes across. I think we don't see a lot of New York City landmarks though in these movies, and
no.
we didn't see a lot in this one either. But I was like, oh, this looks like Queens in a
Mm-hmm.
way, or like a Marvel movie version of Queens in a way that the movies do not usually really look like New York City. And you have Coney Island at the end. There's the
Yeah.
cyclone. And we don't really see New York City landmarks like that so much in these. And
No.
it made it feel more grounded in my reality. It made it feel more relatable. And like Peter Parker's just a kid from Queens balancing all this stuff and happens to have
Well,
superpowers.
he goes to the bodega, the deli, and he gets his sandwich, and he's got his sandwich order. Like, I think that was one of the things that really stood out to me in it, in that sense of I feel like that's maybe not, I don't know if that's exactly like a Queens specific thing, but it's a very New York sort of thing.
Yeah, it's not Queens specific, but it's New York. It's a
Yeah.
very New York thing. And also relatedly, what stood out to me was actually there's a
Also bodega
bodega
cat.
cat, and
Yes.
Peter Parker says hi to the bodega cat. But
Uh-huh.
I have this problem of like, look, I love a cat in a movie. As you know, I have recently begun an email correspondence with Cinema Cats to let them know about some cinema cats they didn't know about. This is important
Okay.
to me. I always want there to be a cat in a movie. However, I'm really tired of being pandered to in certain kinds of ways. It makes me feel kind of nauseous. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but this thing happens sometimes where like there'll be a cat in a movie, and I'm like, an algorithm told you to put a cat in this movie. An algorithm
Well,
told you that people want there to be a cat, and like you're wedging it in, and people are like making comments about the cat in a way where I'm like, this is, I like that the cat's here. Y'all are calling too much attention to it, and it's clearly like you want to make damn sure that everybody watching this Netflix movie knows there's a cat here.
Mm-hmm.
This was just in passing. I bought it. And I feel like recently, when people are talking to cats in recent movies, I don't buy it, and I feel like they're like, we got to get this cat content in here.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think also, and this is me like interpreting it, but I've always interpreted the cat's appearance as a joke about Save the Cat, because he does save the cat.
Oh, yeah.
He goes into the bodega to save the cat, but I think it's a little bit of a like, we're gonna do Save the Cat. We don't really need to, because he's already Spider-Man and saved people and stuff like that. So we don't need to establish that he's a good guy. We're going to do Save the Cat, but we're actually going to do it in a way that works for the film, where the cat is a character in the film that's established, that he knows is there. He's not just saving the random robot in the desert that he encounters, The Force Awakens, which has its Save the Cat moment.
What are you drinking, by the way?
It's called Electrolyte.
Yeah, I was like, it looks like Pedialyte.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's probably exactly Pedialyte with a different label on it.
It's Pedialyte marketed for adults. This is very relevant to my interest.
It's probably that. It's just an electrolyte drink, that's all.
Because I drink electrolyte,
and it's specifically a 0-calorie one, because that's, so you probably won't like it because it's fake sugar.
I can't with that, but yeah, Pedialyte is just, it's stronger than like Gatorade or whatever. And I used to, when I was getting migraines, 50% of the time I always had Pedialyte in the fridge, because it was one of the few things that helped. So this is yet another thing that the audio only listeners are missing. They missed Sean drinking Electrolyte.
But you've explained it. So
I am doing so much for the community. What is Letterboxd doing for Spider-Man?
What is Letterboxd? Do you want to read the half star?
Sure, I can do that. Good job on the graphics. I'm so glad I can see them now.
See?
So on Letterboxd, F1 Shink said, I hated this movie. Peter's dialogue is so annoying, parentheses, but everything else about this movie is also annoying, and parentheses. MJ's character seems like a stereotypical edgy teen, parentheses, so that also annoyed me, in parentheses. This movie made me hate Peter Parker's character. I wish more movies would stop making Peter a high schooler, since I'd like to see him more of as an adult, parentheses, as well as played by someone who isn't Tom Holland, and parentheses. A lot of parentheses.
I disagree with most of this, except for, I mean, I don't have a problem with the high school side of him doing it, but I also really like Peter Parker as an adult in the books. I actually think that they've infantilized him a little too much, especially in the last 20 years, because I think the responsibility story still works when he's an adult. But otherwise, I don't know what this person wanted, like, from the movie.
Maybe he wanted Spider-Man Brand New Day without Tom Holland, because I'm hearing that this is a more mature Spider-Man adventure, and they're like out of college.
I don't know. I'm trying to avoid, and we're seeing it on Sunday. I'm trying to avoid anything about it. No, it's fine.
You're never avoiding spoilers.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm not totally avoiding spoilers. Like, I've been watching like the subreddits from people's theories and stuff, but I'm trying to the most important thing I'm trying to avoid is what exactly the plot is and who Sadie Sink is.
Okay.
I know who everybody was theorizing she is. That's probably it. I don't know, but I have my theory that I think fits more. Like, this is me nerding out about like the stories and stuff, and me going like, I think it makes more sense if she's this other thing, but that's not important right now. But yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I don't. People are like, oh, it's more mature because he's dark, whatever. Like, that's not what I mean. I just think that one of my gripes, and it's relevant to the new movie to a degree, and one of my gripes and a few other folks is that about 20 years ago, I don't think I've ranted at you about this. They erased a chunk of Spider-Man history, him being married to Mary Jane. They erased his marriage to save Aunt May. And they did it by him and Mary Jane making a deal with the literal devil, which is just like a weird choice to make about one of your core characters is and this is it's relevant to the new movie because this is how he reversed everybody knowing he was Spider-Man. There was a very similar thing that happened in the books where he gets revealed to be to the whole world. He reveals himself as being Spider-Man in the whole book in the books. That puts his family under threat. Aunt May almost gets killed. She's sick in the hospital, and the devil, Mephisto, comes to them and says, "Hey, I'll fix her, but I have a little price, and what I want is your basically he wants their marriage." And they agree to it, which is stupid. And what it has done is for the last 20 years, Mary Jane is always kind of hovering around, and sometimes they're almost in a relationship or not. And Peter is just kind of in this arrested development where he'd spent about 20 years married, and they could tell stories where there was friction around that, where she knew, but also her knowing almost makes it worse. He disappears for several days. She thinks he could be dead, and what can she do about it? Because he's Spider-Man. And there's storytelling in that that's interesting, and they erase this whole thing. But the storyline that comes out after that, why this is relevant, is called Brand New Day. And that's where they redefine, like, here's what Peter's world is now that we have erased everybody's memory that he's Peter Parker, it's Spider-Man. And also, it's not that they get divorced or they separate or anything like that. Their marriage never existed. So how does his world look now that his marriage never existed? And so that storyline was called Brand New Day. The new movie's called Brand New Day. So there's an alignment there. But this is the thing that I think is frustrating and is related to F1 Shink, is that I would like to see Peter be more of an adult in the movies, and in general. I think it's compelling when he's an adult balancing responsibilities as a character, and not just as a high schooler. But that's me. Anyway, that's my rant.
Okay. I like that it was a teen movie.
I also like that it was a teen movie, and I think it's really fun that it's a teen movie.
What do other people think about it?
Do you want me to do the 5-star, or do you want to do the 5-star?
Sure, you can do it.
All right. So the 5-star is that it's overhated and it's the best live action Spider-Man there is by Sahir 0604. Which
probably my favorite. I think it's my favorite Spider-Man movie.
It's probably my favorite. I think that I like the Tobey Maguire movies. The Andrew Garfield movies are not good, but they're fine. They're whatever.
I haven't seen those.
I wouldn't necessarily say that anybody needs to.
I probably will. I like Emma Stone a lot.
Emma Stone is good. It's nice that they do her character's arc a little bit.
And I like Andrew Garfield too, actually.
Andrew Garfield is fun to watch in it. It's like he works like
he's good. He's a good actor.
And but I think the Homecoming, while it's tied to like MCU stuff, does kind of stand mostly on its own. It ties in with Iron Man a little bit, so that they got that anchor to it. The other ones are so tied to big story stuff that I find this one nicer as like I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to watch Homecoming, and it's a nice little package. No Way Home, I also really enjoy because it's kind of reminiscent of the vacation movies a little bit, but it's also very, very much a teen movie as well. But yeah, his or not No Way Home, Far From Home, very much a travel teen movie. No Way Home is fun because you see all the Spider-Men, and you see like Alfred Molina coming back and all that.
I haven't seen it. This movie.
What?
We've talked about this like every day, I feel. I haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, okay. It's fine.
I'll watch it at some point probably, but Sean doesn't want to watch it with me, and it's long. So
right, he hates the multiverse. So
he hates the multiverse. Yeah.
So, and it's a little multiverse heavy.
That's what I tried to convince him. I'm like, yeah, but you don't whatever. We're not here to talk about the fucking I don't want to talk about the multiverse. I really don't.
No.
I especially don't want to recount about me defending multiverse storytelling, which what do critics think about Nowhere?
What do critics think about Nowhere? So it got a 44 mixed or average by the Metacritic. So let's see. John Petrakis from the Chicago Tribune said it's a disjointed and ugly film that has all the dramatic depth of a tractor pull. I mean, it's disjointed.
I didn't think it was ugly though. I thought it looked
No,
pretty,
it's
and that
very
pissed me off.
pretty.
That really pissed me off because it's the colors. And actually, after
I
like
wonder if he
Spider-Man
means like,
Homecoming
yeah,
isn't sorry, Spider-Man Homecoming isn't like a particularly bad looking movie or anything like that. So far as very effects heavy comic book movies go, it looks fine. I'm not mad at it. But it is just the saturation level of everything now is not where I want it to be. And I watched that and then I watched Nowhere and it was like water in the desert. It's just like there are so many bold choices being made in terms of set design and specifically with color. The colors are bright and you can see them. And
yeah.
that's great.
I think it's a well shot movie. I don't even know if they necessarily mean like ugly in like the visual sense, or if he means like ugly in that like the people are ugly to each other. At which point
Sure.
I'm just like that's teens, bro. Um, and yeah, and then the other Nathan Rabin from
Raven,
the
I think?
AV Club said Nowhere is Iraqi's most accomplished film yet, and it never quite comes together. And if it never quite comes together, it's still a wildly entertaining film. It is a very, very entertaining film. I think it's a lot of fun. I think, at first, like, I think the fun really comes in. Like, there's a little bit with his fantasies at the beginning that are kind of funny and kind of fun. But it's when Beverly D'Angelo like interrupts him
Yeah.
with the green stuff on her
Mask.
face and just screaming at him, smoking a cigarette from behind the bathroom door. That's just you're just like, oh, this is like a funny thing. Like this is an entertaining like it was a little bit like sexual fantasy stuff and kind of sexy, but also a little bit like ridiculous, especially when Debbie Mazur and the other one, that
Yeah.
fantasy. But then when she comes in, you're like, oh no, it's firmly like it knows it's having fun. Like I think that's the thing about the movie is I think it very much knows at that point it's like, hey, you're supposed to kind of laugh at this a little bit. Like it's real, it like it's not real, but it's emotionally like important, real, blah blah blah. But like also like this is like being a teen and all of this emotional and hormonal crap is also funny.
Yeah, and also Gregg Araki movies are almost all comedies. They're comedies where some disturbing stuff happens. Like, I mean, Mysterious Skin isn't a comedy, but like basically I think all the rest of them are. Like
Mm-hmm.
parts can be ugly, parts can be disturbing,
Mm-hmm.
but like yeah, it's it's in the lineage of Jon Waters, it's
Yeah.
tonally different. It's not that Araki movies are tonally like Jon Waters movies, but much like Jon Waters movies, they're kind of their own subgenre and they kind of have their own tone that's a little like you watch a Gregg Araki movie, nobody else directed this.
Yeah.
Like it's because of everything, because of the very specific style of dialogue he writes, because of the themes he's interested in, because of the visual style, similar to Jon Waters, right? Like very has his own distinct thing going, and a big part of it is it's supposed to be funny,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, some people, both with Jon Waters and Gregg Araki, are just very put off and do not feel invited along for the ride of laughs for whatever reason. But that's too bad because I think it's really funny.
Yeah, I think it's a funny movie. But I think somebody else didn't think it was funny.
So
Do you want to read the half star review?
Read what Nikki no said. Nikki
What?
no underscore o.
Oh,
Trash, utter trash. An hour and a half of trite slog filled with awful visuals, more akin to a porno than an actual film, and cartoonishly
porno.
obscene characters who all speak like 14-year-olds experiencing their first minute of freedom from their controlling parents. I think maybe a 14-year-old wrote this review. If you're interested in a feature-length porno without the gratuitous sex scenes, then this is for you. Viewing this filth made my eyes gag, just a pure swamp of misery from start to finish.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
agree with you. I
Nikki,
think they're
no,
probably
no.
14.
Like, yeah, the
Kids these
characters are
days.
obnoxious. That's true. The
That's
characters
what
in most
teenagers
Gregg
are.
Araki movies are fucking obnoxious. But like, have you met teenagers? Have you met people actually?
Yeah, it's true. Like in both cases, like
Mm-hmm.
teenagers, adults, everybody. Like they're weird, they're gross, they're terrible, and
Their
sometimes
priorities
not
are
so
out
much.
of whack. They're
But
horny. They want to go to a party. Like,
the most hilarious line of this, like, sort of absurd review here. If you're interested in a feature like length porno without the gratuitous sex scenes
gratuitous sex scenes in a
in
porno.
a porno.
They don't know what some of the words they're using
No,
mean.
because they just use gratuitous. Like this is why
I
I feel
know.
like it was at least a younger person. We've talked about this.
Then
Like
again,
everything is gratuitous. Everything is gratuitous. They're like, it's gratuitous. I'm like, technically, if
no,
any
opposite.
film, if any kind of film, it's essential to the plot, it's a porno.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That you can't really have gratuitous sex scenes in a porno when the
That's
entire
the
point of the
point.
porno is the sex scenes. You and I know what words mean, but this could also just be a boomer because they're all using ChatGPT and their brains have melted.
That's fair. What
What do other people
ChatGPT
think?
write this as a 14-year-old. Do you want to read the 5 stars?
This is better written than what ChatGPT would have a 4-year-old write.
Fair.
The 5-star review, Paperworm says, Donnie Darko, but good. Oh, I like that scene. That's one of the colorful scenes I was thinking of.
Oh
You can't
yeah,
see it
with Rachel
in the
True.
superimposed graphic, but the background was also like
It
white
was
with
also
these like
dots.
red dots, and it was rad.
Yeah. Honestly, like I wanted to get like more Rachel True to plant throughout the episode. And speaking of, for those who are just listening to the audio version, you should go and skim through the video version of the thing because I've hidden characters from the film throughout, hidden in quotes, throughout our live stream. They're
And
stationed. Oh, and we got a cat. We got a cat. But yeah, I was trying to find Rachel True, like just images. I was being a little lazy about it, from the film, just like searching, and like there weren't a whole lot. Like there weren't a whole lot of like screen grabs with her. So there was this.
which is bad. She's like this. She's like one of the. She's
Central.
like one of the biggest characters.
Yeah,
She's
she's central.
like
She's
the
delightful to watch in
second
this.
lead.
But yeah, I think, I watched Donnie Darko. Like people encouraged me to watch it when it came out, like when it was on video. I think maybe my girlfriend at the time, and or friends were like, "Oh, Donnie Darko, you should watch it." And I did, and I enjoyed it fine. I think I've watched it one other time since then. I've watched a little piece of it since then as well, and I'm like, it's fine, it's fine.
Honestly, I
Um,
saw it once when it came out on video with the person I was dating at the time, and I didn't like it. And I haven't seen it since. I've been meaning to rewatch it because I'm like, maybe this is a set and setting thing. Maybe I was kind of like watching it under kind of crappy circumstances, and that's kind of why it
yeah,
didn't work for me. But also, maybe it sucks. I don't know.
yeah, and it could also just be fine, and people who are into it are just like, it's so good. And sometimes that does make you feel like, okay, I don't know, man. I don't love it.
I was just like, it's not as. I was like, the like you're not committed to sparkle motion thing. I'm like, that's a funny line of dialogue, and it got so much play that it's not funny when you see it in the movie anymore.
mm, I
There
can't
was a lot of
remember.
that. I'm like, this is not my like deep cuts thing I'm going to be watching and rewatching, but
Right. But it is
go
for
off.
some people, and that's good for them.
That's fine.
There is a note that we have about both the 5-star and half-star reviews for, um, for Nowhere, and that they contain more instances of the phrase "what the fuck" than most of the films we cover, which seems appropriate. We should start to wrap up here.
Yeah,
So
I have other things I
you
got
got
to
shit to
do.
do.
I got
So
shit to do. I
before
gotta go get
that,
zapped by an alien.
you got to go get zapped by an alien. If you want to get
Yeah.
zapped by an alien, we don't really do much social media, but you can find us relevantly on Letterboxd. Nicole is Nicole White Tay.
No,
Sorry.
no.
Nicole Witty. And I am Yun Clay Sian. Uh,
Yunglesean.
Unclesian. Literally somebody would have pronounced it that way, like with my fucking name. Uncle Sean and Nicole Whitty. You can find us. You can comment on our own reviews of stuff and tell us how wrong we are about things, or follow us and maybe we'll follow back if you're entertaining. Who knows? It's barely a social media site, which makes it even better for that. But it is fun to see. You can see what we're watching. And if we're gonna share other people's reviews, we might as well put our own up there for you to criticize as well.
And my reviews are almost always written while I'm falling asleep and very stoned.
So there you go.
And
I only occasionally do them if I think it can be funny. So I think
you can
I
tell
think
Sean if he's funny or not. I mean, the
and
power's yours.
exactly, the power is yours. I did just do one that I thought was pretty funny about this documentary that's sort of about the Satanic Panic, but is really
I
was
gave it a
more
like.
about Dungeons and Dragons. Um, you know, did a little joke about youth pastors. You know,
I think
always
they want to
fun.
see my review of Consenting Adults.
I
It's
think they
long.
do, which I should probably look at, but it's long.
You don't have to look at my review of Consenting Adults. What you really have to look at is that clip I shared on Discord of Siskel and Ebert
Right.
almost coming to blows about consenting adults. It's amazing.
That's what I need to look at.
You do need to look at that. We got to
I
find a
do.
reason to talk about consenting adults
Well,
because
find one. We gotta. I don't know if we've got a
it's
plan for next week yet, but
oh, we got a
we
plan for
will.
next week. Yeah, we'll plan something.
We'll see. We'll
We'll
see
see.
what's happening. We'll see
We'll
what's
see what's
going down.
happening.
Stuff we can talk about later. Is there any last feelings or thoughts or notions that you have, Nicole, as we finish talking about Spider-Man Homecoming and Nowhere?
Really excited to see the new Gregg Araki movie. And have you seen The Living End?
The Living End. I
That's
don't
his
think
I
so.
not his
No, I
first
haven't.
feature,
If
but
it's
like his
another one of his,
first.
I haven't seen it. I think I've only seen this smiley face and totally fucked up.
Totally fucked up.
I think are the only ones by him I've
This
seen.
is from before those. I recommend it. It's like
Okay.
Bonnie and Clyde, but more sex and two
Okay.
dudes kind of thing. It's good. It's a very I should watch that again because when I saw it, it made me so happy because it was a very angry movie. Like it's kind of like more just fucking mad than other Gregg Araki stuff. And I found it cathartic at the time. This was like 2021. And I was like,
Okay.
I want to watch angry movies. Anyway, angry movies.
That's a recommendation for people. And I am interested in the new Gregg Araki one, but obviously I think I already said I've got tickets to the new Spider-Man. I love me some Spider-Man, so I'm gonna go enjoy that on Sunday. I actually haven't been to the movies in a couple weeks, not since I went traveling. So
That's crazy. I went to the movies twice last week.
yeah,
Amazing.
I keep like looking at my schedule and going like, oh, I have some time at different points, but I'm also trying to get certain things done. So,
Get things done.
I know it's crazy
Boring.
pants. But yeah, I really enjoyed I need to watch Nowhere again. I think people should actually watch these. We don't always recommend that people should watch the movies back to back as a double feature, but I think they should watch these back to back as a double
I
feature.
did, and it was it was good. I
I think
recommend
it would be
it.
delightful. Like, I think people should mix it up. Some people should watch Nowhere first, and other people should watch Spider-Man: Homecoming first, and then like argue about which way you should pair them. Should you put Nowhere first? Should you watch Spider-Man: Homecoming first?
And
Do you
which
put the
drug
sex
goes
first
best with
or
which
after?
movie?
Exactly.
Which,
So,
you
and
know, do you want to do your K with Spider-Man or Nowhere? Which one's K? Which one's acid?
exactly.
These are the
Uh,
questions that keep me up at night.
so these are the things that we encourage the audience to do.
Drugs.
And with that, we'll say goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us. The Celluloid Mirror is a production of 4 Mile Circus and is hosted by Sean Mannion and Nicole Solomon. Learn more at 4milecircus.com. To keep up with the next episode, make sure to subscribe and click that button to get reminders. You can also join our Patreon at patreon.com/4milecircus. All the links are below. Our opening and closing music is Twisted by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his music at incompetech.com.
I ended up in that hall of mirrors. There was another girl. She looked like me. Exactly like me.
Can you come with me, Joyce?
That'll do, baby.
What happens when the story dies? The evil is set free.
I have to return some videotapes.